Okay, great to see so many of you, and many names from yesterday and names from other places that we've met. I think we can get started. So I'd like to introduce our director, Oscar Garcia, who will get us started.
Thank you very much, Heather. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. A very warm welcome. My name is Oscar Garcia, and I am the director of the Independent Evaluation Office at the United Nations Development Program. Thank you for joining us today for this webinar on a self-assessment tool for evaluation diagnostics in the SDG area. We are very pleased to see such a good attendance and interest in the webinar, a clear indication of the relevance of the subject. As most of you know, the Independent Evaluation Office conducts programmatic and thematic evaluations that support UNDP accountability and learning for improved decision-making and ultimately for better development results. And another important aspect of our work is to strengthening national evaluation capacities to enhance the evidence base and the decision-making, to strengthen the progress towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals and the national development goals as well. To respond to these needs and to create a diagnostic guidance for the evaluation of national development plans and progress towards the SDGs, my office has developed an online self-assessment tool for evaluation, diagnostic, and strategizing. This tool aims to provide a flexible and practical framework to enable governments and other development actors, including civil society representatives, to develop a systematic approach to determining key areas, pathways, and parameters for evaluating national development strategies and the SDGs. As you know, improving the ability of governments to design and implement policies based on evidence in terms of what is working, what is not working, is paramount. And now, affected by the COVID-19, it is even more the case. So this webinar will help us learn more about the tool, how it has been developed and implemented so far, and generate potential interest for further piloting in other countries. With this, and again, welcoming you very warmly to this event, I would like to hand over to my colleague, Heather Bryant, the Chief of Capacity Development Section in our office, who will be the moderator of this webinar. Heather, over to you. Thank you.
Many thanks, Oscar. It really is a pleasure to see so many of you with us today. As you know, this webinar is part of the gLocal Evaluation Week, which is a global event that supports the exchange of M&E knowledge and experiences as a means to promote evaluation capacity development, support evidence-based decision-making, and strengthen development outcomes at both global and local levels. This is the second year that the IEO has joined the gLocal Week, and today is the second webinar in our series of 3 this year. So as Oscar has said, what we'd like to do in this session is to present the diagnostic tool and share and reflect on some of the lessons from implementation in the initial pilot countries. So to do this, we'll start with a presentation of the tool, which should take about 15 minutes, followed by a quick demonstration. And then a guest from Senegal will share some of her country level experience in actually using the tool. We'll then have a question and answer session. And so with this format, we hope you'll gain new information that applies to your situation, expand your knowledge and understanding of the tool and its potential, as well as learn from other evaluation practitioners during the discussion. As one of our speakers today, we have Ms. Vijaya Lakshmi Vadivelu, who is an evaluation advisor with our office. Vijaya has 25 years of experience in international development policy, evaluation, and research. She has led the conceptualization and the development of this tool, and she's actively involved in the follow-up activities such as training and webinars and meetings that inform and advocate for the use of the tool, as well as for strengthening national evaluation capacities. We also have a special guest speaker with us today, Ms. Madina Tal, a monitoring and evaluation expert with the Bureau of Economic Forecasting in Senegal. And she will tell us about the Senegalese experience with the self-assessment process. Merci Madina d'être ici avec nous aujourd'hui. Before I give the floor to Vijaya, just let me say a few words about the practical aspects of the webinar. As is custom, you'll be muted during the presentation, but you can post questions at any time using the chat function. And then after the presentation, we'll open up the floor for comments, and we'll pick up questions from the chat, but you can also use the raise your hand function or button. And then when we call on you, if you could introduce yourself before asking your question. So we have about an hour together for this webinar. And if we're not able to get to all of the questions today, we would be happy to follow up through email or other chats. And we'll be sharing today through the chat box links to the online tool, to our National Evaluation Capacities Information Center, and other related information. So I won't take up any more of your time, and I will hand over to Vijaya for a presentation of the self-assessment tool. Over to you, Vijaya.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Oscar. Greetings, everyone. I'm very pleased to share with you the online self-assessment tool for National Evaluation Diagnostics and Strategizing options with you today. And thank you all for this opportunity. I wish to also thank Madina Tal for taking time to join us today to share the Senegalese experience in piloting the tool. As Oscar mentioned, among other work of our office, this is one of the inputs towards strengthening national evaluation capacities. And we know that this is not the solution by itself, but a strategizing option which we are sharing with the national stakeholders. Before I go into the presentation of the tool, I wish to mention that this tool has been piloted so far in Senegal, Uganda, and Nepal, and we are in the process of piloting in other countries as well, actually rolling out in other countries as well, as there's considerable interest to use this tool. And the other step we have taken is to translate this tool into French, Spanish, and Arabic. For French and Arabic, we already have volunteers, champions to take up this task, and our office will also be eventually translating it in other languages. I will take, as Heather mentioned, about 15 minutes for this presentation. Briefly, the internet is dipping, so I will turn off the video if you don't mind. I will take about 15 minutes for this presentation. Briefly, I will discuss the National Evaluation Capacity Strengthening Consideration that informed this tool. That will be followed by an overview of the online tool, and I will highlight the key steps while using the tool. Let me begin with what national evaluation capacity consideration means in reality. One of the questions we are often confronted with is, are national evaluation capacity needs any different with the adoption of the SDGs? What has actually changed? In terms of the development issues, there is no major change. What is different is the approach SDGs is promoting, a more holistic approach to development. Again, although not new, SDGs renew our attention to pursue an integrated perspective of institutions and development, to stop thinking in a siloed manner. It reinforces that development processes cannot be pigeonholed into isolated projects and interventions if the goal is sustainable development. Evaluation of national development policies and programs need to adopt and assess a holistic approach as well. The other important reminder is the focus on poorest and most vulnerable, whether it's regions or individuals, leaving no one behind, and how evaluations should address this. Currently, there remain significant challenges in evaluations capturing SDG specificities. An area which is critical for national evaluations is development statistics, and this topic needs a dedicated discussion by itself. There is considerable expectation that SDGs will push countries to resolve the long-pending development data challenges, and this is critical for robust national evaluations as well. Given these challenges, is there progress in national evaluations? What is the benchmark at the moment? The assessment of the national evaluation capacities we carried out during the course of development of this tool shows that evaluation capacities are improving, but not at the pace that is required. Classifying the evaluation capacities broadly into three categories: mature capacities, evolving capacities, and emergent capacities, we found that a majority of the countries represent evolving and emergent capacities. Briefly, mature capacities are where national evaluation systems are very well developed, evaluation is very well mainstreamed, and the data systems are very sophisticated. Countries with evolving capacities show a level of commitment to the evaluations, but the number of evaluations that are carried out of the national programs still continue to be limited, and the data systems still need improvement. Emergent evaluation capacities, on the other hand, are still at the stage of enabling environment for evaluation, and the data systems are still basic. This only reminds us that there is more work to be done, and more often collectively. What is slowing down national evaluation capacities? As the slide shows, there are many factors that are there. Let me elaborate a couple of them. Let's look at the evaluation capacities. Countries are yet to prioritize evaluation. For example, evaluation budgets are often small, unstable, or assigned but not dispersed, or largely spent on monitoring activities. Even when there is a centralized designated evaluation entity exists, they often lack authority or unable to work across sectors or different levels of the government. There is lack of clarity on institutional arrangements, roles and responsibilities, and coordination mechanisms. In large countries, there is also limited attention to evaluation at subnational levels. There are also multiple accountability and reporting arrangements, but significant gaps exist in development of performance assessment. There are other challenges, these and other challenges as informed the preparation of this online tool. We are not suggesting that this tool is a solution to all the evaluation, national evaluation challenges, but we see this tool as a facilitating instrument for self-assessment and setting realistic goals for strengthening national evaluation in SDG context. So what does the online tool offer? What is diagnostics of national evaluation capacities, and what is strategizing? The tool aims to facilitate institutional self-assessment. The approach is non-prescriptive to account for institutional and other development context differences. The tool enables unpacking of evaluation requirements through a series of steps to assess key evaluation bottlenecks and specific needs. The tool recognizes the complexity of national evaluation and its mechanisms. What is key is that the evaluation system should be integrated with existing institutional practices and systems and should evolve with them. The tool is primarily for use by government entities. It is flexible to use by the federal government, regional state government, as well as by the local governments. The tool helps to set realistic expectations. The premise of the tool is that national entities at any level of evaluation capacities can develop national evaluation strategy option to the level their context allows them. I wish to highlight that the tool is versatile and can be used by developed as well as developing policy contexts. The other point is that we wanted the diagnostic tool to respond to countries' preferences for national evaluation diagnostics as against SDG evaluation diagnostic. I'll explain why this makes sense. First, national evaluation cannot anymore be seen in isolation and needs to be located within public sector systems and governance processes. National evaluation systems can only be as good as the overall national governance systems are. Second, SDGs are intertwined with national development strategies, and evaluation of national development plans include evaluation of SDGs rather than the other way around. Therefore, the development of national evaluation capacities requires integrating, strengthening, and connecting three interlocking elements, namely national evaluation, national systems of government, development agenda including SDGs, and evaluation systems. The evaluation capacities need to address all three areas to mutually support one another, and this framework underpins this tool. The tool comprises 4 modules. Each of these modules, there are steps for self-assessment as well as determining strategy options. Each step has choices to select, making it simple to use. And there are prompters providing additional information and good practices. Broadly, module 1 and 2 are on diagnosing existing capacities and enabling environment. Module 3 and 4 are on exploring strategy options. Let's now take a quick look at the modules in detail. Module 1 facilitates understanding of the contextual factors that shape and enable the enabling environment for evaluation, and helps to identify paths that would accelerate national evaluation capacities. This module covers assessing the need for evaluation, mapping evaluation need of different stakeholders, taking stock of existing national evaluation policies and institutions, identifying paths that would facilitate and accelerate national evaluation capacities, collaborating with constituencies with comparable objectives, building constituencies and partnerships. One of the areas we specifically addressed is the collaboration with constituencies with comparable objectives, for example, audit systems. In many countries, audit systems are fairly well developed compared to evaluation systems. National evaluations, instead of creating boundaries, should leverage on the collaboration with accountability institutions. The tool recognizes that the need for structured evaluation practice cannot be universally assumed. Evaluations have benefits, but they also bear costs, time, money, and effort. There is likely to be hesitance to invest scarce resources into formal evaluation practices if current arrangements satisfy country needs for information and legitimacy. In these cases, the tools enable exploring different options and scenarios. Module 2 enables taking stock of national prioritization of SDG framework, parts or more comprehensively, a mainstreaming of the SDGs in the ministries, departments, agencies, and at subnational levels, balancing sectoral priorities versus integrated agenda, and setting up and empowering coordination mechanisms. And understanding of this is critical for moving forward on national evaluation planning. Module 3 entails instruments for strengthening and institutionalizing evaluation capacities. The module presents key steps in developing a national evaluation system or sectoral or subnational evaluation systems. What is key in developing evaluation systems and capacities is that it should be phased, adapted to the local context to avoid capacity traps, and be accompanied by a commitment of resources. Attention is brought to linkages with data systems. There's also a module to assess the level of data systems in the country, which is very critical for robust evaluation. The emphasis on enabling ownership throughout the process, leveraging the process for awareness raising and information sharing is highlighted. The module entails updating mandates and policies, assigning responsibilities and resources for evaluation, mainstreaming evaluation at the ministerial, sector, and subnational level, assigning responsibilities and resources for evaluation capacity development, use, follow-up of evaluation, promotion of core development values in evaluation, for example, gender equality and women's empowerment, human rights, strengthening data and statistics. Module 4 is on measures to integrate SDG principles and approaches in evaluations. The 2030 agenda outlines key programming principles such as sustainability, resilience, equality, partnerships, and leave no one behind. The module clarifies new expectations to the country to ensure the integration of appropriate evaluation approaches, questions, and principles into evaluation plans and methodologies. In terms of the process, the commitment at the highest level in the government institution is critical during the diagnosis and setting evaluation milestones. Using the online tool is not about ticking the boxes and assessing capacities and strategizing options. The process of carrying out a national evaluation diagnostic matters as much as its ultimate findings. There are mandatory processes outlined for diagnostics and strategizing. Emphasis should be on carefully managed change processes and fostering ownership in national evaluation systems and processes. Getting all the key ministries, key stakeholders on board is very critical. Let me quickly walk you through the diagnostic tool with my colleague Anish. It is, before Anish comes in, it is a simple to use tool with easy technical interface. A dashboard will be accessible through login. Over to you, Anish.
Hello, this is Anish from UNDP Evaluation Office. I'll be showing the online platform, very quick demo of the online platform. I hope everybody can see my screen. This online tool is now available in UNDP Evaluation Office public website. You can go to the guidance tab and it is available under evaluation diagnostic tool. Once you click on it, it will take you to the online platform. Here you have 3 tabs. You can learn about the tool itself. There is a guidance document available on how to use the tool. And then to start your self-assessment, you just click on the self-assessment tool tab. Once you click on it, it will give you an option to create a profile if you don't have one. Otherwise, if you already have a profile, you can log in with your existing profile. This will take you to your dashboard. The data here I'm presenting is a dummy data just for the purpose of demonstration. You can start a new assessment by just clicking on the Start New Assessment tab. Or if you already have an assessment that you have started in a draft stage, you can click on any of the module to start responding to the questionnaire. So as Vijay mentioned, the tool has 4 modules. There is also a pre-assessment module. And the module 3 has 2 components, centralized and decentralized, and you just need to complete one of them. Once you go through all 4 modules and the subsection of these modules, you will have an option to finalize and submit your assessment. You will have an option to finalize and submit your assessment.
Can I just tell a point here, Anish?
Yes.
On the module? The module allows you to select whichever level for which you want to develop an evaluation strategy. For example, if a country want to develop an evaluation strategy for the entire national development plan, the option can be chosen. But instead, if they wanted to develop for a ministry, they can leave that and select the option for the ministry. Similarly, for the subnational level or on the local level. One of the suggestions we had was, suppose if they wanted to develop for multiple ministries, how do they go about it? So we are working on that to enable the tool to be used and consolidate information if multiple ministries' evaluation strategies need to be combined. Over to you, Anish.
Yes. So now once you have completed your assessment, this draft will change into submit. Once you submit it, it will change into complete. And if you would like to view your completed assessment, you can click on the view tab, and this will give you all your responses and any comment you have provided. And if you have more than one assessment, you can click on the view report card tab, and this will give you a report card of your assessment. So here I have 2 assessments done. So it gives me a comparison of what was the assessment from my earlier assessment versus my latter assessment. So, and that from the dashboard, you can also access your report card directly by clicking on the report card tab. Over to you,
Yeah.
Vijay.
Can you show the report card again, Anish?
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, there are 2 report cards, and the report card picks up key parameters of evaluation capacity assessment as well as strategizing. And we suggest in the tool to carry out the subsequent assessment probably after 2 years, because that's when the change can be seen. So one gives a benchmark, and when after 2 years it's done, one can assess the progress made, or whether there's been a reversal in the capacity, or whether there's been a progress in the capacity. So it helps for the agencies to check where they are, how they are progressing, areas that need to be addressed. And the report card is generated based on the option they have chosen. They may just choose the option to take one step at a time, so that will assess the progress as it was set by the respective institution that is assessing the evaluation capacities.
Just to point out one thing about this tool. This tool is, the data in this tool is private to the user. It is not made public. So if you'd like to try, you can simply create your profile and start piloting this tool. So the data in here is only available to the person whose profile, who has created the profile. And we don't make the profiles public to anyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Anish. We are currently, we had a very good workshop in Hurghada. Some of you might have joined that workshop, and there were important suggestions that came about, and also from our pilots in Senegal, Nepal, and Uganda. So there are a few tweaks we made. One of it is, as I mentioned to you, how multiple ministries' assessments can be consolidated into National Development Plan assessment. That was one thing which we are trying to do. And if a country wants to do assessment, national evaluation planning at different stages, the national level, subnational, and local level, how that can be enabled. These are a couple of things we are working on. Then we will have the translations as well. So I will stop here. I think Madina, the Senegal experience will be very interesting to see how actually this tool has been used. Before Madina comes in, I must add Senegal as a champion. UNDP did not fund any of these pilots. These are, they themselves went about doing it, invested their own money and used this tool. Let's hear what Madina has to say.
Yes, thank you everybody, and greetings from Montreal. I have made a short presentation of Senegalese process. I'm trying to share my my screen. Just a moment.
Hey, Madina, you should be able to share now.
Yeah, okay. I don't see the option.
You're ready.
Okay. I don't see the option. Where is the option to share the screen? Okay.
You see it now, the green shares.
Okay, share the screen. Okay, perfect. So it is just a short presentation. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to explain you the Senegalese process because we have used this tool, and And it was a very simple approach for us to make national evaluation capacities, evaluation, and develop a draft of national evaluation policies by following the 4 phases recommended by the online tool. You see here, let me just see. Firstly, what we have done is just to organize a national workshop to launch the process of diagnosis with the main stakeholders. We made this workshop to introduce the tool to the stakeholders and to collect their opinion on the approach and to expand our collaboration with the UNDP. With the UNDP in order to test the online self-assessment tool. And after the workshop, we made a questionnaire, and our questionnaire was based on the 4 modules of the online self-assessment tool. We go to the self-assessment tool, and for each module, we have just to see the question of each module, and based of the question, we have made a questionnaire to make a survey with the main stakeholders who works on the evaluation field. So you see here, module 1, understanding the enabling environment. We go into the module and we have made our questionnaire. And after that, after making our questionnaire, what we have done in step 2 is to administer the survey with to the various stakeholders, public administration, local authorities, technical partners, etc. You see here, it was our target stakeholders to make the diagnostic. And after collecting the data, we went back to fill the 4 modules, because now we made our questionnaire based on the 4 modules. We collected the data and we go back on the self-assessment tool, and we go into each module to fill the information we have collected. We go to module 1. Here we see the module 3, I think. It is connecting national system and agenda 2030 to national evaluation system, and we fill all the information we have collected. Because this procedure is for us, it was simple because we have all the information now from the stakeholders, and we just go into the online self-assessment tool. We fill the information, and after we fill the information, we use the report generated by the online tool to elaborate our report. You see here, we have the scoring. When we fill all the information in each module, we go and generate the report, and we see that Senegal was in scoring 23 levels. And what is interesting, and we can interpret the level we have, because when we see the level and when we see the scoring, when we compare the scoring with the information we collect by the survey, it was easy for us to interpret the information and the data we have collected. So that was very simple for us, because the tool, the self-assessment tool give us a framework. It was simple to follow the 4 phases, and the report card was easy to interpret. And after we fill the information, we make the report and we elaborate a draft of national evaluation policies. What is interesting too is when we have the information, we made a steering committee and we go to present all the information we collect with the steering committee. And with the self-assessment tool, we have a credible approach. So it's not very complicated. Oh, why do you make this question? Why do you, why do you have done this thing? So because um, we have a good framework, it was easy to explain to the steering committee what is the approach, why, how was the process to collect the data, what was the result, and to interpret the result was very simple for us. The point the steering committee they wanted that the tool was translated, so it is in process. The other thing is for scoring, for the scoring, it is not very, for us, it's not very important. It is, the scoring will show you that, okay, where is your point now? What is your scoring? But it's not very important to focus on the number, 23, what is the number? Because the thing, okay, that's 23, we have go to which level. What is important is when you have the scoring, with the self-assessment online tool, you can explain why do you have the scoring, 23, why, what corresponds to the scoring, and to move forward to have an action plan and to continue so the process. So it's just a short presentation of Senegalese process. If you have some question, maybe I can explain, because we have just few minutes. I don't want it to be very long. Okay, thank you.
And also Madina's presentation is available on our national evaluation workshop in Hurghada. NEC workshop, the very detailed presentation.
Yes, a very detailed presentation. Yeah.
Which is available on how they went about it and the lessons from, actually they went by the textbook, they went by each step and did it very comprehensively. Hopefully we'll have other opportunities to share lessons from the other two pilot countries and many others of whom we don't know, but they are using the tool. I think we'll gather that to know. We would before I complete, I would like to share that we are putting together a communities of practice for sharing lessons on the use of this tool, because there's been quite a bit of interest from different countries, and to help also connect the countries with each other. It's just not for the UNDP or IUO to do everything. It's just for us to enable the countries to link with each other and share lessons and carry this forward. So we'll soon share the communities of practice portal with you. Thank you very much. With that, I will stop.
Thank you very much to Vijaya for this excellent presentation, for Anish for walking us through how it actually looks on the website. That really makes it start to come alive. And especially thanks to Madina, who also just really shows what this can be when we translate it into practice. It was really interesting to hear your experiences. So the floor is open for questions now. Let me see. I think we have some questions already in the chat. Otherwise, you can raise your hand. Let me see in the chat. We have there's one question from Ilyas. Can we create teams such as many users can use the same data, or can share the same data rather?
Oh, okay. So I can respond to that. Right now, you can create your own profile, but same profile cannot be shared between users. So if you'd like to use amongst a group of people, you might have to share the ID and password of that profile so they can view what's in the dashboard.
Yeah. And also, like I was mentioning before, one of the constraints is that if multiple ministries, because this is meant for the national governments to use, for the governments to use, if multiple ministries are doing it, as Madina explained, she consolidated all that information, but can the tool automatically consolidate information from multiple users in one country is something we are working on. It may be a little bit too much of a burden on a online tool because it needs a lot of bandwidth and space. So just we are exploring if that's possible as well. As of now, that option is not available.
Anybody else? A question? Questions to Vijay about the tool, to Anish about the technical aspects, to Madina about the experience in Senegal? If maybe if Madina were doing, if you were doing this again, would you do anything differently?
It's a good question. Yes, I saw that we discussed with Vijay about this question because in the self-assessment tool, some questions maybe some question we see the same question in module 1, in module 2, and we had just to see, oh, what is the previous question, what is the second question, the order of the question. Maybe the second is to present the online self-assessment tool to more partners, because we have done one presentation in this to the steering committee, and we plan to continue this presentation, and we don't have time, and we go back to the diagnostics. I think that it was better to continue the process to train all the stakeholders using the online self-assessment tool. Because after they forget, because we have done the first presentation, and when we present the results, they say, oh, okay, module 1 was what, they forget. So it's to keep training on the tool during the process of the diagnosis. I think that it was the point, yes.
Thank you, Madina. Dubin, you have a question.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please, go ahead. Good to see you.
You too, thank you so much. Such an interesting presentation and such a very helpful tool. As you know, CLEAR in Anglophone Africa has a very active program to build country monitoring and evaluation capacity. And one of the things we find difficult when we're doing these assessments is to know who should be doing the completion of these kinds of tools. What are the institutions they should be located in? What level should they be? Is this an individual opinion, or is it like a collective view? Do you have any thoughts on those kinds of questions, who the user of the tool should be? And what have your experiences been when it's best used?
Oh, no. I can come on that. One of the things we had very clear when we developed this tool was not to be too prescriptive. So once we start saying that only a national entity with an evaluation mandate should use it, or somebody located within the national planning entity should use it, then we are constraining the use. So we left it open, because this is first of all is to develop the evaluation culture. Somebody has to start developing evaluation strategies and start using it. So this tool is flexible in that sense. So at the national level, if it is wherever in that particular country it's located, for example, Madina is within the Prime Minister's office. Uganda also, it was within the Prime Minister's office, you know it, Dubin. In the case of Nepal, it is within the National Planning Institution. So it varies from country to country. But there are countries which tried in the ministries as well. Uganda first was interested to try it in the Ministry of Education. They wanted to have a good evaluation system within the ministry, so they wanted to start there. But eventually they started to use it for the national development strategy itself. So we do not really prescribe it, but one of the issues that came up in the rollout, in the pilots, was that how can they consolidate? If different ministries are using this tool and developing an evaluation strategy for themselves, how can a national entity with a mandate for evaluation bring all this together? So that was one of the things which we faced in Uganda. And we are working on it. We don't have straightaway answers for that, because just like as Anish said now, everyone can create a profile and start developing an evaluation strategy. Whether it's a national program, it can be an education program or a malaria program, they can have an evaluation strategy for that. But how can the national entity with the evaluation mandate can bring all these together? As of now, we leave it to the country to sort it out without telling what should be done and how should be done and getting into the details of it. So that will again put a lot of constraints to who should be using it, who will have the password, whether a Ministry of Environment can create a evaluation strategy or not. As of now, we are putting out the tool there. It's for the government entities to see how they can use it. Senegal has a different experience, Nepal has a different one, and Uganda has a different one. So this itself shows that the needs and use is not same across the country, it varies. As Madina was pointing out, there need to be more awareness of how they can use the tool and how they can share the information, the comfort level of sharing the information. That also is critical. We don't have a straight answer for your question as yet.
Ruben, you have a related question about multiple layers of governance. Would you like to join the conversation and ask your question? And then maybe we can also hear from Madina again on Dugan's question, bringing them together.
Thank you, Heather. Yes, I follow the information in regard to multiple user, which the option is not available yet. But in the case that we have here, it's one government, but it's two layer. You have a national level, and also the planning is at the same way. You have a national planning, and then you have a district level planning, but the district level planning is feeding into the national planning. So actually, it's one set, but two layer. Is the tool usable for such a situation? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is one change we are currently working on. Before, when you go into the tool, you have the option to choose national level or subnational level, whether it's state or district level or sub-district level. But there were requests by the government participants who were there at the Hurghada workshop that they want, like just you mentioned, an option where they can have a subnational level assessment which feeds into the national assessment. That would mean bringing some of these elements, tying them up technically, that we are working on. Very soon that option will be available. And this will be useful for small countries, but there are big countries like Mexico, Brazil, South Africa, India, China. They need a tool that can be that will be more versatile and that can be picked by the state government or at the district level or sub-district level and national level. So the existing option still is valid, but for the small countries, we are working on how we can have one consolidated one where different levels of evaluation strategies can be developed.
Thanks, Vijaya. Madina, coming back, it's a little bit coming back to Dugan's question, but I think there is some overlap. How did you, in the process, go about ensuring you had the right people involved in your diagnostic process?
Oh, okay. Do you see my screen?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay. Okay, what we have done is just share. Okay, what we have done is to identify with the steering committee what is the pupil because firstly, we have the steering committee, and with the steering committee, we identify who was the pupil who will be involved in the process. And you see here in my screen here, just let me see you. It was the pupil we identify, the public administration, the technical partner, extra. But we identify all the stakeholders with the steering committee. And what we have done in the Senegalese process was only the BPE who has access to the self-assessment online tool. We don't have a sub-level. We have just one level. That was very simple because we don't have different information to make together. So it was just one level, and the BPA was the administrator of our profile, and it was a team, me and two other colleagues who was able to go to the online self-assessment tool to fill the information and to keep all the information to generate the report. With our process is not very complicated to integrate all the information. Okay, we have just one level, and we identify all the pupils with the steering committee. But what is important, I don't know, Vijay, if you have thought about that, is when we go into the tool, you fill the information, you can change your information. It's just a warning to don't to go back to the tool when you have your result and you say, no, I am on this level, I have to go to change the information to have a better level. I know that's the,
no,
yeah.
Actually,
yeah.
But once you submit it and lock it, then you cannot change. But until you finish the process, there's a possibility to change because that option should be there. Otherwise, sometimes it can be a mistake in terms of feeding the data, which need to be corrected. But I think once everything is completed and it's submitted, I think then it stays for the next assessment to come up. Yeah, we did take care of that.
Thank you both.
Thank you so much, Madina. That was very helpful.
Ritu, you have a similar question about the process of the self-assessment. Was your question answered, or would you like any additional information? You're welcome to join in and ask your question. Ritu, are you still with us? Maybe not.
Yeah, Ritu has left, I think.
Okay, thanks, Anish. Dugan, you had another question?
Yeah, this is such an interesting tool, and I think people's experiences of it must be so interesting. I'm wondering if you've got any thoughts on how you're going to track who used it and the programs of action that arise from it, whether you're going to be exploring how they get implemented and whether they do in fact lead to stronger evaluation capacities.
Oh. Actually, we are not tracking because several people have created profiles. For example, Uganda, they had a big workshop of the government staff at different levels, and they trained them on this tool. So about 75 people created profiles because they just wanted to understand the tool so that at some point they will be the ones who will be working on collecting information and feeding into the tool. We did not systematically follow up on people who are already using it. We wanted to do it once we roll out the tool. But at the same time, we do not want to create expectations that we will be there to support them, because this is a huge exercise and we need to partner with CLIA and others to take it forward. That was something which we've been exploring for some time, which are the agencies who are already working on evaluation, national evaluation capacity, whom we can tie up with. Similarly, with UN agency evaluation officers who can work with their respective ministries at the national level in terms of taking forward the tool. So we are not really following up. As Anish said, technically, we can go and see who are the ones who are registered and what is the information, but we have chose not to look into the information or check it. We really, by the word, keep it confidential, but we can track who has registered, but we can't say how far they went into it. For example, Senegal completed it, Uganda completed it, Nepal completed it, Philippines completed it, but we don't know others to what extent they went about using the tool. So for that, we need to have a separate exercise. We would like to do it at a later stage and not now.
Thanks, Vijaya. We're running out of time. Lisa Pitch has made an interesting comment. She's coming from a different sector. Lisa, would you just like to share your reflections with the group? Lisa?
Hey, Lisa, your microphone is on.
Lisa, we don't hear you, so I don't know if you're speaking or if we have a technical challenge here.
Heather, looks like Lisa, I think, has exited, I think.
Okay. Well, let me just share the comment because it is interesting. She says, I can see how I can use the tool as a program evaluator for a large US school district with 325,000 students, 45,000 employees. Our students speak over 100 languages and is very diverse. So that's quite interesting to hear somebody from the education sector in the US also sees how this tool could be used. We have another question. We've had a question about is the Arabic language tool available yet? And similarly for the Spanish version. Vijaya?
No, not yet. We will be soon, because we just want to be sure that we are stopping the working on the tool, any tweaking before we start the translation. First will be French and Arabic, and then we will start with the Spanish and Portuguese. There's also a volunteer for Portuguese, so we'll have those two as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, we're almost at the end of the hour, and I know that everybody has really busy schedules, and with the gLocal Evaluation Week, you're probably signed up for other webinars as well. So we'll wrap up here today. I would like to give a big round of virtual applause to Vijaya, Madina, and Anish. And I would also like to recognize Genta Conchi, who has been working behind the scenes to get this and the other webinars this week organized from the UNDP IEO side. So with many thanks for your active participation from the UNDP Independent Evaluation Office. And please feel free to contact us on here. I'll just type in the email address. For more questions on this, you can write to us at ieo.nec@undp.org. So if we didn't get to your question or new questions come up, please feel free to contact us. So once again, thank you very much, everybody. Have a great rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, and we hope to be in touch in other fora coming soon. Thank you.
Goodbye. Yeah.
You can turn on your mic and say hello and goodbye to your neighbors.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, Nadia.
Thank you very much.